Labor is calling for journalists to be exempt from prosecution under national security laws in a major win for the Press Freedom campaign.
The party has shifted its position in the wake of a united push from media outlets against government secrecy. Let's go live now to our political reporter, Eliza Edwards. She's in Canberra. Eliza, what would this mean for journalists currently under investigation for their stories?
Well, Laura and Pete, it would give them certainty. There are still 2 ABC journalists and 1 News Corp reporter who don't know whether they're going to jail after they published separate stories, one allegedly exposing war crimes, another about a government plan to spy on Australians. They were the target of coordinated AFP raids earlier this year, which in part sparked yesterday's united protest by media outlets, making a big statement with those heavily redacted front pages. One of the 6 demands from media companies is for journalists to be exempt from prosecution under national security laws in order to safeguard press freedom. But it was recently as last month, the Shadow Attorney General Mark Dreyfus rejected the idea, saying it could have unintended consequences, but he's now had a change of heart.
And we say that that's an appropriate legislative change, and the government ought to be bringing in legislation into the parliament to do that, because clearly this government hasn't understood the discretions that are there. It hasn't understood conventions that have been in place in Australian law and Australian politics for decades.
But to be clear, you are now saying there should be an exemption for journalists in the course of their day-to-day work.
It's not a blanket exemption. It's recognising the vital role that's played by journalists in our democracy.
While the government says it's open to considering some of the demands from media companies, the Attorney General argues Labor is backing an idea that's unreasonable.
Simply giving blanket exemptions to all behaviour which a journalist considers is doing their job for all criminal laws in Australia at a Commonwealth level, I think falls outside the edge of reasonableness.
Now, the Attorney General appears to be at odds with the Prime Minister after he gave himself the power to make a final call on whether reporters are taken to court. Scott Morrison yesterday told the Parliament that these decisions on prosecutions should not be at the whim of politicians, so no doubt this issue will continue generating a lot of debate and discussion in Canberra today.